Hello friends, welcome to CSharp.net online training. Today we are going to discuss one of the important concepts that is related to inheritance, that is IsA and HasA relationship. It is very important as a developer to understand these two terms. What is IsA and what is HasA? So basically, I see many students, many developers, especially beginners, freshers, even though some experienced developer getting confused between these two terms and what is a relationship, what is has a relationship. Even though they are using this relationship in their day-to-day programming, they even do not know, they don't know what exactly the meaning of is a and what exactly the meaning of has a. So today I will explain you what is exactly is a and has a relationship, what is the difference between them, when to use is a relationship, when to use has a relationship, how to use is a relationship, and how to use has a relationship with some real-time examples, right? Here I'm going to explain the concept using CSharp programming language, but this concept is not only applicable to CSharp programming language, but also applicable to any other object-oriented programming languages like Java, C++, etc. Now let us understand what is IsA and has a relationship with some example. Please have a look at this code, right? So here I'm creating one class. This class having some data members, and this class also having some member function. The class name is rectangle. This is the rectangle class, and this rectangle having some data member and member function. Now what I'm doing, I'm creating another class called qubit, right? And this class is inherited from this rectangle class, and this qubit class is also having some data member as well as some member function. But this is what I'm making here, inheritance relationship. Here rectangle is the parent class, qubit is the child class. This child class inherit all the properties and member that you have defined in this rectangle class, right? So this is the qubit class. Now what I'm doing, I'm creating another class called table. But in this case, this table class is not inherited either from rectangle class or is not inherited from the qubit class. It's a simple, or you can say it's an orphan class without any inheritance relationship. But if you look at the class member, here I'm creating an object of rectangle class. I'm creating one variable of one class type. This is a value type variable and this is a class type variable. This is the point that you need to remember. Here we are inheriting the rectangle class to the qubit class, and here I'm not inheriting the rectangle class to the table class. Instead, I'm creating one variable of the rectangle class. This is the thing that we need to remember, right? So in this case, one variable is of a rectangle type and another variable is of a leg type. But this table class is not inherited from the rectangle class. Now, so what we need to understand? So the point that you need to remember, this qubit class is inherited from the rectangle class, right? The class qubit is inherited from the rectangular. So can we say that qubit is a rectangle? Yes. The qubit is a rectangle. So the relationship between the rectangle class and qubit class is a relationship, right? So whenever you are implementing the inheritance relationship, whenever you are establishing the parent-child relationship, that inheritance relationship or that parent-child relationship can be termed as is a relationship. Here you can see rectangle is the parent class, qubit is the child class. So as we are establishing parent-child relationship between rectangle and qubit, as qubit is the child of a rectangle, so we can qubit is a rectangle, and this is possible because of the inheritance relationship that we establish between the qubit class and the rectangle class, right? Now, come to the second part. The point that you need to remember is whenever we are making the inheritance relationship or parent-child relationship, then we can say that relationship as is a relationship in object-oriented programming language. This is a relationship, it is not new in C# programming language. This is already existing in all other object-oriented programming languages like C++ and Java. In Java, you will see its parent-child relationship. In C++, you will find that parent-child relationship. And whenever you are making parent-child relationship and whenever you are inheriting one class from another class, then you can say that you can also say that relationship as is a relationship. Now come to our table class, right? This table class doesn't inherit from rectangle class or it doesn't inherit from qubit class. Instead, inside this table class, we are creating one variable of type rectangle. right? So in table class, it is having one variable called top, and that variable type is rectangular. That means the table class is having an object of the rectangle class, right? This table class not inheriting from the rectangle class. Instead, this table class having one object, or you can say one variable of the rectangle class. So can we say that a table class has a rectangle, right? So can we say this table class has some leg variable? Yes, it is having leg. Can we say this table class having some top variable of type rectangle? Yes, this table class having a rectangle. This table class having a rectangle. This is nothing but whenever you are saying that table class having some rectangle, and if you are creating one object of one class inside another class without making the parent-child relationship, then we can say that has a relationship, right? So here we can say table has a rectangle, right? But here you can say Cupid is a rectangle. So this is the difference between is a relationship and has a relationship. Is a relationship is implemented by using the parent-child relationship. You are inheriting one class into another class, then you can say it's a is a relationship. And in this case, you are not making any kind of inheritance relationship. Rather, what you are doing, you are creating one class object, that is in this case rectangular class object, inside the table class. Then in that case, we can say table has a rectangle, table having one object called rectangle, right? This is nothing but your has a relationship, right? So we can use our class in two ways, right? So if you are having a class, you defined one class, then you can use that class in two ways. In this case, we have one class called rectangle. Then we can use that rectangle class in two ways. What are the ways? By using easier relationship and by using has a relationship, right? Easier relationship means if you are inheriting that class in another class, then you are using that class using easier relationship. And if you are using that class and if you are creating an object of that class in another class without making any kind of inheritance relationship, then you can say it is has a relationship. So this is the difference between IsA and HasA relationship in programming language, and these concepts are not specific to C#. It is also available in C++, Java, or any other object-oriented programming language, right? So a class in C# can be used in two ways. One way is by using the inheritance relationship, that is, one class is inheriting from another class. In this case, rectangle is one class, and that rectangle class is inheriting to cuboid class. So this is one of the way. And the second approach is that you can create an object of that class and use it. And the second approach is that you can see inside that table class, we are creating an object of a rectangle class and we can use it, right? So these are the two ways we can use a class in C#, right? Now if you take some real-time example, let us understand some real-time example to understand this IsA and HasA relationship, right? See, this is one design. So you can see this is your design. Let's assume that this is my car design. Now I can manufacture any number of car from the design. And when I manufacture the car, then I can sell it on the market. Let's assume that from this design, you have designed this car, right? And once you design this car, then you can sell it on the, then you can sell it in the market, right? Then what is manufacturing mean? Manufacturing the car means these are objects. So you are creating this object from this design means you are creating some object. Now you can instead of selling these cars, what I can do, I can also sell my design. So whenever selling my design means I'm not selling the manufactured car, right? I'm selling this design to a different company, right? Yes, using this design, I can create object and I can create these cars. So car means the object on the market, right? That is one way possible we can do. But the other way is that I'm not what I can do is I can sell this design of mine to a different company, right? So once I sell this design to a different company, the different company can use this design and do some modification to this design, and then they can manufacture some car and sell on the market like this. So the other company, this is the other company who is also manufacturing the car based on this design, but not exactly this design. They have done some modification, right? They have done modification, and based on that modification, they are producing these new cars. So this is how you can understand, right? So now the point that you need to understand is what is exactly this design class. class, right? So what is the use of this design class means in how many ways you can use the design class. See, as you can see, this is your design class. You can manufacture the product and sell the product. You can sell this design to a different class, and the different class can use and can modify the uh, design, and they can product some cars and they can sell it. So what are the different ways you can use our design class means we can use our design class in two ways. We can share it with the derived classes or create an object, right? See, in this case, this is the class and this is derived from this class. So this is one way, and this is nothing but we are creating an object. So in two ways, we can use the design class. If a class is inheriting from some other class, then it is having IsA relationship with that class. Or if a class is having an object of some other class, then it is having HasA relationship with that class. So table has a rectangle and qubit is a rectangle. So you can see here, this table has a rectangle that is has a relationship, and qubit is a rectangle. This is a relationship. These are the two ways you can use a class in your application. Now, the most important thing that you need to understand is whenever you design a car or whenever you design a class, then that class having many different kind of members, right? And in the member, we have already discussed something called access specifier, and we can attach those access specifier to each of the member. That means in a class, we can define 6 types of members. We can define public member, private member, protected member, internal, protected internal, and private protected. Let's assume that in our class, we have defined 3 types of member. In rectangle class, let's assume you have declared private, some private member, some protected member, and some public member. So whenever I'm saying member, it means it might be a data member, or you can say it's a variable, or it might be some functions, right? So it might be data member or member function. Suppose you have declared one data member called private, one data member with protected access specifier, then one data member with public access specifier. Now, then when you have these 3 types of a member in your class, then what are the members are accessible inside the class? What are the member accessible within the child class, and what are the member accessible in the non-derived classes, right? That means what are the member accessible within the rectangle class, what are the member accessible with the IsA relationship, and what are the member available with HasA relationship, right? If you implement IsA relationship, right? See, if you declare some data member with the private, public, protected, doesn't matter, all the member you can use within this rectangle class. There is no restriction on the data member within the same class. Restriction comes when you try to consume this class member from a different class. That different class may be a child class of this class or maybe a non-derived class like this class, right? If you are implementing is a relationship, right? In this case, qubit class is a child of rectangle class. So in the case of IsA relationship, except the private data member, all the members are available to the qubit class. So in this case, we are having 3 different members: private member, public member, and protected member. So apart from a private member, public member, and protected member, you can consume inside this qubit class, right? And if it is a non-derived class like table, so once you create an object of a rectangle class, then you cannot consume the private member and the protected member. You can only consume the public member. This is the difference in terms of you can say inheritance and inheritance and without inheritance. This is the difference between HasA relationship and IsA relationship. HasA relationship means you can only consume the public member. You cannot consume the private and protected member. IsA relationship means you can, apart from a private member, you can consume all other members. How you can implement IsA relationship? By establishing the inheritance concept, by using the inheritance concept, by implementing the parent-child, or by establishing the parent-child relationship, you can establish inheritance concept, or you can establish IsA relationship, right? And how you can implement that HasA relationship? Just by creating an instance like this, right? So this is how you can implement IsA relationship and HasA relationship. Now let us understand some example to understand IsA relationship and HasA relationship, right? So let me copy paste the code. You can see, okay. This is my rectangle class. Inside this rectangle class, I have declared some data member and member function, right? This is my data member, these are my data member, and these are my member function, right? This is class rectangle, and this is my qubit class. This qubit class is inherited from rectangle class. By using this column means we are establishing parent-child relationship, and parent-child relationship is also called as IsA relationship. IsA relationship means qubit is a rectangle, right? And inside this rectangle class, you can have your own data member and member function, right? So this is your data member, and these two are your member function. This is actually a constructor, right? And this is one method. And all these things what you have defined in this class, except the private member, all are inherited to this qubit class, right? Now you can see this is one area function, this is one parameter function, and this is qubit, right? Inside this qubit class, we have declared this height variable. We have not declared this length and breadth variable, but this length and breadth variable are available in the rectangle class, so you can also consume them inside your qubit class, right? So we have already discussed this thing in our inheritance relationship. Now what I'm doing, I'm creating an instance of qubit class by passing some 357 value, and then I'm calling the volume method, area method, and perimeter method. You can see area method is defined in the rectangle class, perimeter method is defined in the rectangle class, but this volume method is defined inside the qubit class. But as we are making a relationship, parent-child relationship, using the child class instance, we can consume all the members. All the member means we can consume the parent class member as well as we can consume the child class member. Whenever I'm saying parent class member means except the private. This is how you can implement IsA relationship in your programming language. Now we'll see one example to understand how to implement HasA relationship, right? So HasA relationship means we should not have inheritance relationship, right? So see, this is one class and this is an address class. This address class having few properties, address, line, city, and state, and we are initializing this variable by using the constructor of this class. This constructor taking 3 parameter, and using those parameter, we are initializing this 3 data member, right? Now, this is a class, right? This is your class employee. And in this employee class, I'm not inheriting this employee class from address class. Instead, what I'm doing, I'm creating a variable of address type, right? Whenever you are creating a variable of a class type inside another class, then that is nothing but you are establishing a HasA relationship, right? In this case, this is nothing but employee has a address. This is nothing but your has a relationship. And then we are declaring 2 more integer, one integer variable and one string variable, and I'm initializing all these 3 variable address, ID, and name using the constructor of this employee class, right? Then I'm having one display method, and whenever I'm calling this display method, I'm going to display the employee ID name as well as address details. Address means this is one reference type, and inside this reference type, these 3 are nothing but your data members. So you can access like this: address line, city, and state. So this is nothing but your HasA relationship. Now you can see, first of all, I'm creating an address object, and then I'm creating an employee object. While creating the employee object, to the constructor, I'm passing the employee ID, I'm passing the employee name, and I'm passing the employee address, right? Now when you call this method, then the data what you are passing, that will be displayed in the console window. So let's run the application and see the output. Yes, you can see whatever data we are passing: employee ID, employee name, address line, city, and state. All these things are displayed in the console window. This is how you can implement HasA relationship in CSharp. Now the most important question is how to decide what to implement between IsA and HasA relationship, right? So if you are working with any project, then how you will decide whether I need to go for IsA relationship, that is I need to make the parent-child relationship, or whether I need to go for HasA relationship. See, first of all, you ask the question to yourself, right? What do you mean by ask the question to yourself? For example, if I ask you the question, which statement gives you more sense between the below 2 statements? If I'm saying employee is a address and employee has a address, then which statement makes more sense? Definitely employee has a address makes you more sense, right? That means in this case, if this statement makes you more sense, then you need to go with employee has a address instead of employee is a address, right? Now further, if I ask you this question, right? Further, if I ask you, BMW is a car, BMW has a car, which statement makes you more sense? Definitely, BMW is a car gives you more sense. So in this case, you need to go with inheritance relationship. So which one to decide, which one to use means, first of all, you need to ask yourself, which statement makes you more sense? Which statement gives you more sense? Is EJ statement gives you more sense, then use the inheritance relationship. If has a statement gives you more sense, then just create an variable of that class type in your class, right? So in C#, the EJ relationship is implemented using inheritance, and the HasA relationship is implemented using the concept called composition, right? So if you know, so you might be aware of this term composition, right? Some of the website they're saying what is composition. Composition is nothing but if you are declaring a variable of one class inside another class, then that is nothing but composition, right? Now if you go to our example, right? Now if you go to our example, this is the one class, and inside that class we are creating a variable of another class. This is nothing but composition, and this is nothing but inheritance. You are making the parent child relationship, and you are not making the parent child relationship. Instead you are making the composition relationship, right? You are just creating one variable of one class inside another class. Using composition we can implement a HasA relationship, and using inheritance we can implement IsA relationship. Now I hope you understand what is IsA and HasA relationship, and what is the difference between IsA and HasA relationship, and when to use IsA relationship and HasA relationship while you are developing your application. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, then please subscribe to our YouTube channel.